And welcome into Pat's Latest. I'm your host, Mike Gambardella, and congratulations, Patriots fans. You did it. You made it to the final day without Patriots training camp. That's right. All of the Pats are in Foxborough getting ready to finally strap it up and get down to business as the Patriots look to whittle down their 91-man roster to 53. And today we take a look at the players on the hot seat, which starters could necessarily be in trouble, whether for a starting spot or a roster spot. And then we take a look at the big three, if you will, the big names that are out there and may or may not be in training camp, and if they could see them traded, including Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson, and yes, once again, Terry McLaurin. Before we get into it, make sure you go down and subscribe for the channel. Get in the comments afterwards. Let us know what you think about the big three, if they're going to go anywhere, if the Patriots could be on their preferred list, and what it would take for the Pats to actually get them. Make sure you give us a like if you like what you hear, and go back and check out all of our old episodes after this one to get caught up on everything going into training camp tomorrow. We start looking at that Patriots hot seat and four players that you need to keep an eye on as things get underway. Obviously, the Patriots have undergone a massive overhaul on that offensive line, but as we've talked about all offseason, left guard continues to be a big question mark. Now, Cole Strange, who transitioned to center last year, is going to go back to his old position of left guard. Again, a tough transition, but one he is acclimated to, has started there before, and have seen some rankings where he would be a potential top 60 guard in this league, which would put him as a starter. Now, he will need to keep off the likes of Wilson, the third round rookie out of Georgia, who is a center, but could actually find his way over to left guard as well. Jack Connolly, the undrafted offensive lineman from Boston College. Layden Robinson also there, and a dark horse in C.D. Sow as well, or potentially someone off the street such as Brandon Scherf. There is a lot of competition for that spot, and Cole Strange will need to play well to keep everyone at bay. The Patriots, knowing that they can just cut bait, move on from that salary, or potentially go to someone else if you're seeing the same level of production for someone coming in at a lower price point. Additionally, on the offensive side of the ball, Mac Hollins is someone to keep an eye on. While he has had injuries that kept him off the field and signed that free agent deal, which should get him into the lineup and feel pretty strong, at least about his rotational spot. If he is not able to get out there and produce, do not be surprised if rookie wide receiver from Washington State, Kyle Williams, steps into that X role and runs away with it. In that scenario, Mac Hollins then becomes a rotational player at best, a larger big body wide receiver, more of a captain off the field, if you will. And again, the Patriots starting to look at, is the juice worth the squeeze on someone that's making more money that is now taking up a player spot for someone that could potentially grow in that position. Again, Mac Collins, absolute awesome teammate. We kind of know what his cap is from what we saw with Buffalo last year, and again, could be in a tough spot with the injury concerns that he has right now. Last one on the offensive side of the ball is running back Ramondre Stevenson. While now in a better spot, coming back with a new head coach in Mike Vrabel, and someone who really has valued having a punishing running back, as he did with Derrick Henry, gives him the opportunity, and the improved offensive line makes that a lot easier as well. However, two things in the way for Ramondre Stevenson. One, the fumbling issues. Want to make sure that is completely wrapped up and no longer seeing the ball hit the deck when he is in there. Vrabel even covered for him early before OTAs, saying a lot of those weren't even his fault. Those are backside blocks that miss, that come and get him, that he's not even expecting. So again, we'll need to work through that. The bigger part could be Trey Henderson, the rookie out of Ohio State, who, by all accounts, is ready to go from everything, whether a pass catcher, whether a runner, either outside or in between the tackles, and especially as a pass blocker, expect at least a 1A, 1B scenario, and don't be surprised if that A and B slides, and you could see Ramondre start to slide further down the depth chart if Henderson starts to produce. Finally, the last one we'll look at on the defensive side is a familiar name in Anthony Jennings. He was unfortunately notably absent from the Patriots' top defensive unit this spring, losing that top spot seemingly. And he almost always was with the backups and on a separate field. So he will have to work to regain his spot and even stay in that rotational defensive end mix. The Patriots unfortunately could cut Jennings and save just under $3 million while being hit with around $2.35 million in dead money. Not a huge number when you have $60 million in cap space. Additionally, he could be a trade candidate if there is some need for the defensive end spot. Again, all of these players will need to show out in training camp and bring that juice into the preseason games to make sure that they can keep their spots here with the Patriots. And if not, that adds further eyes on the next three players for you to keep watch. The first and the question really is, what is Jerry Jones doing in Dallas? Is he signaling for Parsons' exit? Is he playing the slow game or trying to just push down on the potential contract numbers for Micah Parsons, who is reporting to training camp for the Dallas Cowboys? Whether he practices is yet to be seen, but Jerry went on record as he was being interviewed saying, just because we sign him doesn't mean we're going to have him. Now, that's a weird statement, but it actually plays back towards the injury angle. Jones said regarding Parsons, he was hurt for 6 games last year. Seriously, I remember signing a player for the highest paid at the position in the league and got knocked out 2/3 of the year. Dak Prescott is who he's referencing. Went on to say, so there's a lot of things that you think about when you're just, as the player does, when you're thinking about committing and guaranteeing money. First off, Jerry's a little bit off on his facts and figures, exaggerating those just a bit because Parsons only missed 4 games with that high ankle sprain, not 6. Yes, he worked through those injuries on a couple others, and Prescott missed 9 of 17 games, which checks in at 52.9%, not the third of the season. Or 2/3 with that hamstring injury. So again, Jerry playing both sides, wanting to make sure he's keeping those dollars down, as Jerry Jones does. He's never going to pay out too much. And again, when he does make that decision with Dak Prescott, he just got burned. So he's playing the game. And how far does that push Micah Parsons and his camp? How far before he says, you know what, I demand a trade, I want out? And with a Dallas Cowboys team that seemingly is always underperforming, while I'm sure he has Super Bowl aspirations, is he willing to hitch his wagon to an up-and-coming team such as the Patriots that, with that $60 million in cap space, absolutely could sign a player of this nature and potentially give up some draft assets as well to make it worth Dallas's while? When it comes to Parsons over the next 2 guys we'll go over, I think it goes way above what you'd be willing to do. They should be absolutely in on these discussions. Whether it comes to fruition, unfortunately, I think comes down to Parsons' desire to match that contract with a true Super Bowl contender right now, not 2 to 3 years from now, which likely would put the Patriots behind the 8 ball when it comes to ranking of the teams after Micah Parsons, but put the Patriots at least in that dark horse section should Jerry Jones keep pushing and Micah Parsons' team finally say enough. Also a player that said enough, Trey Hendrickson, who continues to hold out. The Bengals owner gave the dreaded vote of confidence. Mike Brown going on record as saying they're trying to reach a deal with Trey Hendrickson, stating that it's been a long negotiation. No duh. Trey Hendrickson is a fine player and a good guy. We want him here. Dealing with him is sometimes not so easy, but that's all right. He's got the right to argue his case, and he ended with, I think it'll get done. Again, Mike Brown saying that obviously your star player deserves a raise. Now you'll find the middle ground in between there of how much that raise actually is for Trey Hendrickson. And again, a fantastic player as a edge rusher and defensive end, racking up a ton of sacks. But I think part of the issue is that with his contemporaries, whether that's Micah Parsons, whether that's Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, he's not as great against the run. So he's going to get docked a little bit there. But of course, you don't want to hear that. And when your owner is saying, you're not always easy to deal with, you're not going to want to hear that either. Now, a lot of things continue to get swayed one way or another, especially before training camp here, before everyone's together. Again, with Brown ending with, I think it'll get done, filed this one away as Hendrickson likely not getting out of Cincinnati, a team that underperformed last year and does have aspirations of getting back to the Super Bowl, especially with that amazing offensive cohort led by Joe Burrow. So don't expect Trey Hendrickson out of Cincinnati. But another one that you can keep an eye on is Terry McLaurin. Excuse me. He is now on the record as saying he is ready for every option when it comes to his contract. And that ranges from a hold out, not showing up to training camp later this week, a hold in, going to training camp and not participating, not training, not practicing, but being there with his teammates, or potentially asking for a trade in order to secure the extension. And again, for a wide receiver coming off a career year, steering 30 in the face, this is what his agents are going to do and say, this is what you need. This is your time to get paid. There are no guarantees in this league. Make it happen. McLaurin went on to say that he's heavily interested in trying to bring a deal together and not breaking the team apart. He's willing to work with the Washington Commanders within their salary cap constraints to make a deal work, while not breaking the bank and not letting them compete for that championship. And again, this is a team that was in the NFC Championship last year and has a chance to get back because of Jaden Daniels and several other stars on that team. Again, McLaurin wanting to be there, and I think at the end of the day, they're going to find out what the true value is for McLaurin. They're going to be asking for $30 million a year. I think if they get closer to that 23 million, 24, 25 maybe, probably in that 23.5 range, he will be okay with that. Eventually get to a point where they sign that 2 to 3 year deal, get him under contract, and get going again before he pushes to say, I want that trade and I want out. So again, to recap, expect McLaurin back with the Commanders. Same for Hendrickson with the Bengals. Right now, Micah Parsons is a real question mark because he's seen this song and dance. He's seen this thing from Jerry Jones. And how long do you continue to go through this without saying, if we don't have a real shot as a Dallas Cowboys team to get to the Super Bowl, I want a different opportunity to go along with the top NFL contract that I am so deserved. That'll do it for us on this episode of Pat's Latest. Again, make sure you get down in the comments. Let us know what you think about these top 3 players. Are they going anywhere? And do the Patriots even have a chance to be in on the sweepstakes? Who's the biggest Pat on the hot seat? Make sure you give us a like. Go back and check out all of our old episodes, as again, training camp is almost upon us and we will have everything for you right here on Pat's Latest. Fight on, Foxborough.